Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great day. Welcome to the start of the week where we're kicking off Titan Talk. I'm Isiah, Kilgoon with me as usual, and it's going to be a little bit of a lighter show because Open Beta 8 went live this morning, right, Kilgoon?
Yeah, it is a patch day Monday, and it's a big day for the patch, and whenever it's patch day, we usually try and have a little bit of a lighter show plan just in case everything's on fire and we need to be addressing it. I would say there have been some issues that we've run into with the patch day, but overall, I think we feel like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll say the biggest issues that we've already fixed. There was a matchmaking issue this morning where you might have gotten stuck in a longer ranked queue than normal. That's already been addressed. There was just some configuration issue in the back end. And then the deserter functionality where when somebody leaves the match, it pops up a message saying, hey, you're okay to leave this game and you won't get deserter. That has been disabled for the first day or two of the patch. It was meant to be disabled for the first day or two of the patch, but the message accidentally went live for a little bit this morning. So apologies if you accidentally got deserter for a few minutes this morning, but that has been addressed. Other things that we know are big issues right now are the console gods page. You cannot navigate the god page on console unless you go into like filter, and then you can navigate once you have filtered. We have a build in flight that should fix that.
Just so you can scroll if you're using a gamepad.
The page just gets into a weird state and it won't let you do that. And it seems like it works on the first time you go to the page, but then if you go back, it doesn't. So anyway, console store can also not undo purchases right now because the same button is mapped to opening God Builder. Total mistake on our side. We have that is also fixed internally already, and we should have that rolling out pretty soon. There's one that I'm not going to talk about because it's exploitable. The event did not go live this morning. I think we're still looking into that, but hopefully soonish that'll go live. There's some Kali stuff that we're fixing. I don't have the specifics on what it is, but I know that there's some Kali stuff that we're fixing. There's a bug with Ancient Signet that we're aware of and fixing. Just in general, everything that went out this morning, there's the new items and some new pacing and whatnot. We would love your feedback on how that feels. Just our games feeling better so far? What are you noticing just in terms of feels? And the last note that I have here is that we are back on the old movement.
This is good to call out.
Yes. So we were testing our new movement system in live. We felt like there were areas that were clear improvements, and there were other areas that felt worse still. So we decided to go back to the old movement system while we continue to work on the new movement system in the background. It's probably not going to be turning back on anytime soon, to be transparent, because the few issues that came up are bigger technical things to fix. But probably at some point in the future, we will go back to that, at least for another test once we've done some more rounds of work there. But we're going to be back on the old movement stream for a period of time. And I think that, there are pros and cons to both of them, but generally we felt like this was the better experience for right now, given some of the issues that we were facing with the new movement stream.
The Morrigan is back on.
The Morrigan is back on, yes.
Back on with the patch since we're back on the old movement stream.
And that's part of the reason why we felt like going back to the old movement stream was important, because there were some specific things about the Morrigan that just weren't going to work without a lot of additional work on the new movement stream, which, again, we're going to keep working on in the background, but it's going to probably be a while before it comes back. I'm just looking here on to see if there's any quick initial chat things that I didn't cover. No, I think that's pretty much it. And I did take a note on the Mulan. Somebody mentioned that Mulan passive isn't working properly. I took a note on that. We can take a look into that. And then the controller vibration we just need to look into again. We have not been able to repro that consistently on our side. So I will try and nail that down soon. Apologies for that. I know that that's really frustrating, but I will see if we can get the right people looking at it and try to get some solution there.
And one thing I wanted to call out, we didn't talk about it last week, but the Assault dev test did get another pass on environment art. So I believe now there are no more gray boxes on that map. So If you're hopping into assault queues, you may notice that it looks a lot better. It's got some more art treatment from the environment art crew. So continue to play assault and let us know what you think.
Yeah. I think it's, still a work in progress, but let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Yep, and we already mentioned that God Builder has the same keybind as Undo, and we're working on fixing that. I believe that God Builder is going to be, it's going to be push menu or start, whatever you want to call that button, to open once you have the item store open on console. So, yep. And we do know that Bari's feet are weird.
Yes.
that is also known. I didn't call that out specifically because I felt like that was a small one, but there's something about something that made her feet get kind of curled up in a weird way.
She's got her toes crunched up for sure, but she will be fixed.
Another thing that did go live. Sorry, I feel like we're just kind of rambling at the beginning of the show, but there's just a lot of stuff that happened, and it's good to just kind of catch people up. The God Builder went live with this update. This was kind of like version 1 of the God Builder, right? So we felt like the functionality is all there to where you can set up builds and save them and share them and all that. There's more work that needs to be done. If you are running into specific bugs on God Builder, we'd love to hear about those as well, because it feels like every time somebody uses God Builder, they use it in a slightly different way than anybody before them has used it, and we uncover a new round of issues with it. So, I will take a couple notes here, and I see a couple bugs that are here right now. So I'm going to write those down, and then I will let you pick a question while I write this down.
Yeah. Chat, as we said earlier, it's going to be a lighter show, so we're going to just probably reserve the majority of the day's show, or pretty much all of it from this point on, for just community Q&A, bug reports, feedback, all that good stuff. So we will just get right into it, and let me see if I can find a good question. Where would be the best place to give feedback on God Builder? So if you just want to head to our official Discord, we have a feedback forum there that the crew looks into all the time. If you just want to tweet it at me and Kilgoon, that's another great way. If you want to make a Reddit thread with your experience on God Builder, we're looking at all the places where there are community discussion for feedback.
Yep. And then, there's... You could also put in a bug report.
Yeah.
We do see all the bug reports that come in, so that can help too. There is a question here that says, in Fragpunk, if you own Ultimate Skin for a character, it changes the picture of the character on the HUD. Would you consider doing that for Tier 5 skins in Smite? We have talked about this in the past, and we thought that it made it more confusing to know who was who in your game, and it adds like another set of icons you have to memorize. So we probably won't do that because of how important reading the HUD is in Smite particularly. But I think it is a good idea, and if your game can support that without being confusing, I think it's cool to do that. Early stats on Kali release and perception. I don't have stats, but I would say there are definitely some builds that look strong.
Yeah.
I would say the int build looks like it could be pretty strong.
I was going to say, word on the street is that the int build might be the way to go initially right now for Kali. But I've been seeing some, basic attack builds as well. I've been seeing some strength builds. So experiment, try things out.
Yeah, and I think that the different builds have different power curves as well, right? In playtesting, I've done a lot of on-hit builds with her, and I feel like I'm really strong early game, which is kind of atypical for Smite 1 Kali was really strong late game, but I feel like on-hit Kali I could be really strong early game and kind of bully people, and then it's harder to get in and just stick on somebody with autos late game. So it felt like it fell off a little bit more as the game went on. But anyway, interesting things. Will HUD editor custom settings be shareable to everyone?
Ooh,
that's something that we've talked about for doing in the future, but it just hasn't been a top priority right now. There's a lot of other things on the HUD editor that we feel like maybe are bigger initial priorities, like snap to grid, I think is a big one that comes up. A few things that we can't move right now. So yeah. Can you make God Builder items in categories to find items easier? So I will say we have gotten feedback about wanting some ability to filter based on stats and whatnot. That is maybe a future feature for the system. Right now it is just sorted into the same overarching categories that you see on like the PC item store, I guess I would say. So like the, defensive tier 3s, hybrid tier 3s, and offensive tier 3s, and then your tier 2s and tier 1s and whatnot. So I think that it's a, yes, it would be good to make it easier to sort through, but at least there's like some level of sorting there right now. And I think we also felt like most people who are making their own builds probably kind of know what they're looking for. And most people who don't will more likely just like use other people's builds that are shared and highly upvoted.
When will we get a ranked reset? We've had a lot of matchmaking changes. I feel would justify a reset. I believe we had Max on last week, so if you missed that show, go check it out. I believe it was the Friday show. It was the Wednesday show last week. But I believe the plan is Max is still cooking on some matchmaking stuff. We're potentially looking at a soft ranked reset for OB9, I believe was what Max was saying.
Yes.
But go back and watch that show for more info. There's a lot of other ranked and matchmaking stuff that he's been working on, and we should be getting in the next few updates.
Yeah, so hopefully next update we'll have a rank reset if we can get the changes in that we need them. Let's see. I will say... that's an interesting one. Any chance for skin boosters in Smite 2 to be used for prisms? I guess if we had skin boosters, they probably would allow you to pick from prisms. But I mean, we do have the ones in Joust now, and I don't know how those work. If those do
I'm not sure.
enable prism use or not. Or not Joust, in Assault. Yeah, I said the wrong thing. Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question.
I don't know if you've addressed this yet, but the Firebrand doesn't have an icon when they kill a god. That is good feedback. I'm making a note. People are already out here dying to Firebrands,
Yeah.
The tip is to try and kill them both at the same time, chat, because if you kill one and not the other one is going to evolve and it's going to heal, get a little bit more damage and stuff like that.
Is it a known issue on PC you can't right-click to indefinitely scroll through spectating teammates, but you can with left-click? That's weird. No, that wasn't something I knew. It might be something somebody else knows.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. Let's see here. Why did you make the change that you did to Soul Reaver to make it like Chin's? I feel like as a mage, I have very few items that scale with int versus strength, like Heartseeker, Crusher, just for damage. So that was part of our new kind of item specialization pass. So made some changes to a whole lot of items just to better classify them to better fit a role for whenever you're building it into a match. So Soul Reaver and Chins are going to be like your anti-max health type of items now. They're going to deal damage based on the difference of maximum health between targets. If you're looking for more on-hit stuff, the new items, Tearfing and Ancient Signet, are going to be your more traditional kind of strength/intelligence on-hit damage items. And then we did make a change post-PTS. We added Piercing back to Demonic Grip, Totem of Death, and the Executioner.
Yep.
And these are going to be more of like your anti-protections items. That way you can get those stacked up, shred those protections really efficiently for your team.
Yep. It's mainly just, like you said, to give more of an identity to items, right? It's like we don't want it to be where you just always build the same things and you don't think about it based on the context of the match that you're in, right? I think it's generally good that builds have like a couple items that you know are good to build always, right? But then it's nice to have interesting choices to make out to there, like this is good for the situation that I'm in. So the second part of your question was more just like, should mages have more items that scale off of int in some way? Maybe. I don't have a firm answer for, more new mage items or whatnot, but I think, like, I guess like Rada Tahuti scales off of int to some extent. And like there are some things, but I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
Let's see here. Can we get an update on the Lost Knight in Joust to have different attack patterns? Also, maybe it can drop a dagger like in Conquest.
That's interesting. I can ask about the dagger, at least, or some kind of a something. I assume it wouldn't in duel, because that might just kind of break the mode.
Break the mode. Yeah.
Good question. He would drop a lance. It's probably going to be the same dagger.
Oh yeah.
Or it could be something else completely. But yeah, it's a good point that he doesn't drop anything, and maybe he should.
I know it's pretty niche, but is there any way to edit VGS commands? WoW got me to switch WASD to ESDF.
I believe you can, but I'm not sure how to do it. I think that if you go into like the keybinds, there are a number of like VGS like binds, but I've never tried to do it, so I couldn't give you more feedback than look under keybinds in the settings menu and see if it makes sense for you. No ETA on the next God roadmap, but we will have an update soonish.
We're getting towards the end of the first roadmap that we talked about towards the beginning of the year. So yeah, I would imagine within the next couple months we'll probably be talking about the next set of gods coming to the game.
Yep. Any news about the Artisan program? Did we start reviewing the applications? Ben said this morning that he had started looking at the applications and still kind of working through it. I'm sure that they'll be reaching out to people sometime soon for getting them in. We look sad today. I think I'm just tired. Kind of a holiday weekend. I was running around with the kids.
I ate a lot of food on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't sleep very well last night, but no, not sad. Just just maybe a little tired today, I guess. Sorry if we seem sad.
In the first Assault Dev test, it had Tier 1 tower side lanes. Is there a reason that they are gone, and can we get them back? Yeah, we got a lot of feedback from players that they weren't really vibing with the side lanes. Specifically, we got a lot of good feedback from players that maybe Assault isn't their main mode, that they were really digging the side lanes, but we also got a lot of feedback from the other side to where like people really felt like they didn't really belong in Assault, and they kind of made the game mode feel less like Assault and more like a Joust almost. So we decided to remove the side lanes. We've gotten a lot of feedback from players that main Assault that they're happy with that. I know the environment art team, they really kind of like the side lanes. So we're always looking at feedback, and they could come back potentially in some form or fashion in a future update. For right now, we're kind of vibing with the current Assault depth.
Yeah, I think that like if I was to try and categorize it, I would say that like the feedback on the tier or on the Phoenix side lanes was almost universally negative. Yeah. Right? People did not like those at all. And then the more side lanes around the Tier 1 towers was slightly more mixed, but like you said, was if you were a Joust or Conquest player, you really liked those. If you were primarily Assault player, mostly you did not like them because
there were Assault mains that really liked the side lanes too. Yeah, to be fair.
So I think it was, it might return in a test, might try something else, but like you said, I think we're kind of okay with where it is right now. You can't cast some VGS. Are you in practice? Because some VGS does not work in practice. If I have not heard reports about a lot of VGS or any VGS not working outside of practice. But if it's not working for you in a non-practice match, please let us know. Yeah. In the whole game, what input are you on? You need to know what guild I was in on Shadowbane. I was in Cadre Quietus, which was part of the Covenant of Swords. We were on Treachery. It was like there were like 5 guilds that joined together as part of the Covenant of Swords, and we were a big deal at that point in time. But yeah. What race did I play? I was a half giant Templar.
Nice.
I was the first Templar to have the the holy sword in the game. So.
Who's the next god now that Kali is out? Guan Yu.
Guan Yu is next. Yes,
is coming to the battleground next.
Did I watch John Cena win his 17th world title? I did not. I did not turn on WrestleMania this weekend. I was just hanging out with family, so it was kind of hard on Easter weekend for me to tune into WrestleMania. But I heard mixed things about the main event. I heard Travis Scott comes out,
Yeah,
and then it's like, what the hell's going on here? But yeah.
Let's see here. Any Guan Yu teasers? Don't really have teasers, but Pon did say he's going to be coming out with an aspect, so you can look forward to that.
Yep. And I was playtesting an unannounced Gods plus ones this morning.
Nice.
So we're going forward all the time, guys.
Let's see. Can we get a buy all button on each Wandering Market page?
I mean, I will say that we could. Are you asking because you want to buy coins to be able to do things, or you just don't want to spend your coins to unlock the things individually? Because I feel like there's not a lot of stuff to buy on each page in terms of like needing to click to buy each thing individually. But I could understand either way. I just curious what the question is. Yeah, Guan is coming along. We're still working on Guan stuff. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff going for Guan, but we do need to do some work to get Guan working with this movement branch, because there's a lot of stuff that made him work with the new movement system, and we need to do some work for this movement system.
For the Wandering Market question, I want to unlock all the items, not individually. So
Okay, I mean, I can think about that. I don't have a firm answer on whether that or not that would be good.
Cool. I see a couple people asking in chat, and I know we've talked about it before, but Kilgoon, have you heard any rumblings internally about maybe the option for universally equipping items like card effects and stuff like that?
It's still on the backlog. It's something that we do want to do, but I just don't have. I don't have an ETA for it. Yeah. I think it is on the list, but I don't remember what patch, so I don't want to tell you for sure when it's coming.
Yes, Elysium, the movement patch did get reverted with today, so we're back on the old movement with today's update.
Tekanupe, the guy who's having VGS issues. Are you on PC or are you on controller? And are you? It's just the retreat section that's not working for you, or is it something else? We don't have to wait for the answer, but just I see you posting more, so I'm just trying to track that down. When should we be expecting Wandering Market 3? About basically every 2 months is kind of the cadence that we're on for Wandering Markets right now. So the next full Wandering Market will be, 2 months after the last one. So which came out 2 weeks ago, so 6 weeks from now. We are, if you look in the Wandering Market though, there is a what's the word I'm trying to say? Like a different section for travelers. So we are exploring the idea of introducing like short-term special event markets, if that makes sense. And we might be trying one of those soon, which is why the back end for adding in the text to say travelers is there. But the proper full Wandering Markets are going to be every 2 months. Yes, PC. Are you on a non-QWERTY keyboard?
Oh, are you on a Azerty?
Are you on Azerty or one of the other ones? That might be it. Sorry, I'm just real-time troubleshooting here.
Yes, my shirt is from Samurai Champloo, my favorite anime of all time. It's killer.
Do we think we'll get a fix for Console God page today? Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but probably not past tomorrow would be my guess.
Any update on announcer packs? I know they're in the process of being implemented. I don't know if they're going to be for next update, but
I don't
I know
if
the team
it's
is working on them.
9 or 10, but I know Kellen's working on them. And we've actually been going through and getting some, people who maybe used to work here who have announcer packs. We've been reaching out to them to see if they are willing to have us carry some of them over. We probably won't we're debating whether we just bring them all over on day one or we do like wave 1, wave 2 or whatever. But like I was talking to Bart last week and he said that we were going to bring his pack over. So we will be able to bring over a lot of the old ones. But we're just, we've asked people to be nice. Yes. Can we get a save build button after match if somebody else in the game had a build that you want to try for the build manager? Yeah. So we are trying to, one of the future goals is that like, how there's like the 3 dots at the end of your name in the post-match lobby. And you can click on it for like more options. The thought was that we could go into there and add a, copy this build and use it thing. But it just didn't make it in for this first version of the thing. You're on a normal keyboard. It's a normal QWERTY keyboard. You're not a French speaker naturally or a non-English keyboard user. That is weird. I've not heard. I have heard this report from people who use non-QWERTY keyboards, which is something we're aware of and we need to fix. But if you are having this issue on an English language keyboard, I have not seen this reported by anybody else, which is not make your situation any better, but just harder for me to think about what could be causing it.
Yeah, it's odd that it's only one kind of section of VGS2 that's having an issue.
Sorry for the sad face. Yeah, wish I had better. Some items aren't translated to French, by the way. Sometimes the newest wave of stuff doesn't make our translation deadline because we move so quickly. But we are trying to be a little bit better about that. So fingers crossed we'll be a little bit better about it going forward. The special, I saw somebody posting this morning that special emotes were T-posing for them. I have not followed up on that, but I will ask people. They were working in dev for us, but it's possible something broke. Any chances people get translations for God Builder? Seeing builds, but I can't understand them. Unfortunately, we will not be getting translations, at least like automatic translations for the God Builder. Most games that have a similar feature do not automatically translate things. They just are written in whatever language, and then you kind of have to work through it. I understand that is frustrating if there isn't a build in your language available. I would say, really, part of the reason why we structured our builds in the way that we did was that the thought is that you should just be able to follow along the final build, even if you don't necessarily speak the language, and just kind of click left to right, right? You would miss out on like any of the text tips that people have added, which I know is frustrating. But there's just not a good way for us to like auto dynamically translate things that players are writing, at least cost effectively. There's probably some, run it through some service thing that charges us by the word. Who is the voice actor for the fart quip? I believe that's actually repurposing the fart effect from I want to say the Huyi Tier 5.
There was a little Easter egg in
there was an Easter egg where I think it was a Huyi Tier 5, where the big guy would occasionally let out a little
fart
little
whenever
toot.
he walked away.
So I'm pretty sure that Kellen stole it from there and thought it was funny. So,
question: on average, how many gods are in development at any given time?
It might be Kuzenbo fart. Somebody else says.
Maybe,
I thought it was the Huyi one, but it might be Kuzenbo fart. There's just a lot of farts in that one, I guess. How many gods are in dev at any one time? That's hard to say. I would say that we are. I'm just trying to think who's in playtest right now. I would say we're probably at least 4 gods in. Well, we're probably further out if you're thinking about the full art pipeline. So I would say probably like 6 6 gods are in some form of development, and usually like, or maybe like, it might even be like 7 gods are in some form of development, and like 4
Or like
are
play
play
testing,
testable
yeah.
at some stage. It's kind of a good rough estimate, I would say, in order for us to be able to keep this pace. It's our pace changed recently. I knew more what every stage everything was in when we were moving even faster. But because we slowed down a little bit, like I've gotten a little bit less connected with the art side and not sure exactly like how far out they are. But I know whenever we show off stuff, Ben has stuff that's like far distant future.
Oh yeah.
But like we're already playing Apollo and I think the 2 gods after Apollo right now in playtest. So we're relatively far out. How hard is Bakasura to implement into Smite 2? I know he's unpopular, but he seems relatively easy to bring over. Every god has like some unique tech to them. I would say most of Bakasura's kit is pretty easy, but eating like minion jungle camps is a unique kind of tech to him. It both requires unique new like tech art stuff to enable like the eating minion animations and new tech to support like that execute minion threshold thing. And then he needs like AI for his minions that he summons when he regurgitates. So, which again is not like the most difficult thing, but it is something that is gods that require any kind of AI for pets are more challenging than gods that don't, because each one needs kind of like some specific AI trees for the way that their pets should work. So it's, he's not the hardest god to bring over by any means, but he does have some difficulties to him. And like you said, he's not the most popular god. So not the number one character on our priority list right now, I would say. On average, how long does the implementation phase of porting a god take? So implementation is like I don't exactly know what you mean by implementation. There could be a lot of stuff that's included in that, right? But like the whole process takes, like maybe like 3 months from start to finish in terms of art and programming and playtesting and stuff. Sometimes it can take more like 4 months. Sometimes it can take more like 2 months. Depends on how difficult the character is and how much work needs to be done on the art side and how much new tech needs to be built for that character. Like we can stand up a play testable god pretty quickly, but then there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make it look and feel right with the proper FX timings and the proper, micro feedback on
proper
stuff.
audio, sound cues, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Are builds rated in any way? If a build wins more, does it get displayed more? As Kilgoon sips his cherry schluss, by the way.
So we do not rank builds in that way. But they are, the only rating that's reflected is how many people have favorited the build. So our thought was that the community would kind of herd to builds that they thought were good and helpful and favorite them a lot, and that would push them towards the top. We've had other pitches for more like win rate based build sharing, but we felt like as soon as you attach hard numbers to it, then I think it becomes less about like understanding how to build and the decisions that are interesting, and more I copy the thing that wins the most, right? And this happens everywhere, right? It's like what deck won the Magic the Gathering tournament this weekend? I'm going to copy every card in that 1-to-1, and I'm not going to think about changing anything, right? Whereas if it's more just like, here is an archetype and here are the kinds of cards that you want to put into it, and like, here's an example build and here's some alternative cards that you might want to put into it. Like, I think that's healthier for the long term of the game, where it's like you want people to be thinking about their builds in some way while they're playing the game. Like, it shouldn't be a huge lift where it's like, I need to be doing calculus while I'm playing Smite to figure out what the best item is. But there should be like something going on in the back of your head where it's like, oh man, this team's tanky. my build says that I should build a Tyrfang next, but they have so much HP, I should build a Kins next instead, right? Like that's the goal for this new item system, is to have you being like, oh man, dude, they healed so much in that battle. Like, I got to build a Divine Ruin next, even though I want to build something else. You know, it's because that's going to be better in this game. So, so that's kind of why we're going that direction. Magic mentioned. We are both Magic nerds. There's a lot of Magic nerds at Hi-Res. So, I think just in the gaming industry, it's like I've heard said that like, your favorite game designer's favorite game is probably Magic the Gathering, right? Just because there's so much depth in Magic the Gathering. Like, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cards, and there's new interactions every time you play, and there's, you know, it's random in a way that doesn't feel random, but almost all games have some level of chance in them, which makes them interesting, right? Like, you know, if Tom Brady's completing 100% of his passes, the game's not interesting anymore, right? I'm playing, I mentioned this on last week, playing Blueprints right now. And I'm incredibly frustrated because I can't get two rooms that I need to appear near each other But that's kind of part of the fun of the run, is like going through and trying to get it to happen. So, any Yu-Gi-Oh fans? I actually don't know if there's any Yu-Gi-Oh fans. There are some Pokemon fans.
I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in college.
Oh, yeah?
I kind of fell off super hard. I played X-Sabers, Black Wings.
Well, there's at least one.
Let's see. The Zeus Tier 5 special emote is completely bugged on all forms, and the final form is still missing the new model effect on the arms and legs. I will pass that along.
Thank you.
I know there was an issue. We found an issue with specifically the Tier 1 form in PTS before we shipped, but I will go back to the team and say maybe there's something going on with all forms.
Favorite commanders? We're not going to go super deep into the Magic thing, but I was like, the one more Magic question. Who are your commanders right now?
I have a lot. I have Omnath, Locus of Creation. That's the 4C one. I play Animar, Soul of the Elements. It's like +1/+1, Landfall, Eldrazi kind of hybrid thing. I also play Essica with, what's the enchantment on the other side? But it's like a Super Friends deck.
Yeah.
Planeswalkers. So those are my 3 most played decks right now.
Nice. I have mostly older decks, but my commander decks are Zadok, Lord of Secrets, which is a blue-black mill deck, and like synergies with cards that have been milled. I have Stonebro, which is a green-red trample stompy deck that just does a lot of damage real quick and usually knocks somebody out and then gets people mad at it and it falls off. And then I have a mono black, I believe it's Mega Trader to Mortals deck that's just about like lifesteal. So yeah, yes, this show is a nerd fest.
Yes, it really is.
But yeah, gotta love Magic. Anyway, no zombies. I do like zombies, but I don't have a zombie EDH deck. When are we likely to see more crossovers and collaborations? I think that right now our focus is more on making sure the core game is great before we try and broaden the audience with a lot of crossovers and collaborations, right? We had the opportunity pop up for that Lord of the Rings thing that we did in December just because it popped up and it was fun and it was a relatively light lift, right? And I think the community actually was like, I think they almost wish that we would have done nothing because they wanted skins, they wanted it to be more than it was, right? And we don't really have the bandwidth to make something that is like a big full collaboration right now because there's so much that we want to do on the core game side. So we're just prioritizing that. And then I will say we've had a lot of interesting outreach for collaborations and crossovers. We just haven't had, I have the hiccups, haven't had time to do it. So. Before the layouts, we announced that some gods, like Mercury, were going to release this year. Is that still the plan, or will you need more time? I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe that every god we said was coming this year is still planned to come this year. There maybe one slips, right? Actually, maybe one is planned to slip because of some planning that we were talking about this week. But I believe they are all planned to come this year. 99% sure. So. Sylvanas, dude. Yeah. Sylvanas. We gotta get my boy in there.
That January show was like Sylvanas, Mercury. Pon talked about King Arthur.
I feel
like it's still.
India said Scylla.
Scylla, yeah.
And did Travis say Apollo?
Yes.
Travis likes Apollo. So yeah, I think all of those gods are still on track to ship this year.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you exactly when because I'm not sure. But the question was just like, we said this was happening. Is it happening?
Yeah.
And I'm 99% sure that those will still come this year. Liliana Vesniwa, we're still on the Magic talk. There's a reason why we did this big Magic crossover. We're big Magic nerds. Yeah. I think that like that was an interesting crossover. I thought the skins were really cool. It performed okay. It didn't perform as well as I thought it would because we actually had a lot of like data that suggested that a lot of Smite players are also Magic players, and so we thought it was a really kind of slam dunk going to be a really really big success. And I think it was successful, and we were pleased that we did it, but it wasn't at the level that I was hoping it would be as a self-proclaimed Magic nerd. So.
Can we have Sunder show the total damage in the tooltip at current level? I talked to the design team. I'm not sure, Giotto, if you were the one that brought this up a couple weeks ago, but I did talk to the design team, and that's something that they do want to do. It's just kind of a UI/tech thing that they need to get in. We don't have that functionality in the game yet, but it is on their radar, and it's something they want to do.
Are there plans to add more bans to ranked? We have enough gods to justify more. We have, I think that Max talked about this a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that we are still having the discussion. We were talking about it this morning actually as well. I think there's kind of a line to walk where we would like to add more bans, but we don't want to drastically extend the time that it takes to get into a match, right? And we really like the system that like Smite 1 had at the end where it's like
everybody just picks
one. And so this morning we were kind of debating, like, do we think we have enough gods in the game right now to be able to say
shift to that system?
Everybody just bans one, because it could mean that like if we did that, up to 10 gods are banned, which would be a lot of bans. But usually like the two sides double up on a lot of the gods. So it ends up being like, like 6 or 7, let's say. Or we could say everybody bans at once, but it's like only the top 3 on each side get to ban at once or something, right? Like there are things that we can do, but I think that we would want to get to a system where like there's more simultaneous banning happening if we were to add more bans, just because that extra time to ban it does slow down picks and bans and most people don't really enjoy it. I mean, they enjoy picks and bans. They enjoy being able to ban things. They enjoy the picking strategy,
pick order,
but just like the amount of time that it takes to get through picks and bans could be a big detractor for people. I saw this note. I don't know if I wrote this down. Trade acceptance. I don't think I saw. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. For people who are listening to this, the question was, can we change on consoles where to accept a trade you have to press and hold rather than just press, because sometimes I accidentally accept a trade.
Will we be getting directed taunts back eventually? I missed that detail a lot. I think those are still being written and recorded for but I'd have to go back and see. So
Kellen
these are the taunts that specifically play for a certain subsection of gods, like if you kill them, right?
I don't know exactly when, but I assume that they're on the.
I'm taking a note.
Mannequin Scepter returning to the game. We haven't talked about it. At least I haven't talked about it. Design maybe has, but I don't have much of an update on that. I think that like Mannequins was kind of like tick damage at the end, right, for attacking.
Yeah, it was like a tick damage and slow for basic attacking targets. Yeah,
we got to get it back when Sylvanas is back, right? That was the start for a while. I saw another report about Archmages not proccing on something, so I will add to my note here that it also isn't proccing on Nuwa ult.
Yeah, we had the Nuwa report, we had the Aphrodite back off damage report. So lots of small little Archmages interactions that I know the team is already looking into.
will Animosity item ever come back? Additional basic attack damage based on your hit points. I never say never, right? But I think that part of what we're trying to do right now is not just let you do everything, right? And I think that like if you are going to build tanky, you shouldn't also be dealing the most damage in the game, right? If you are going to build like bruisery, then you shouldn't be ultra tanky.
Yeah.
If you're going to build pure damage, then you shouldn't be tanky at all, right? Like, and I think that we are historically, Smite 2 has had some issues with that, where it's like the best builds just let you do everything. Mm-hmm. And that was partially what we were trying to solve with this item specialization pass that we are kind of in the middle of right now, and partially what we're going to keep working on. So I think that like specifically Animosity could be one of those items that is less aligned with what we're trying to do with Smite 2 design. But I enjoyed building it in Smite 1, but it just, if it lets you both be the tanky guy and the damage guy, then you're not making a decision. You're just doing it all.
With Earth Day happening tomorrow, I would love to hear some news on our girl Terra. So Kilgoon is a fellow Terra enjoyer.
I am a Terra enjoyer.
Unfortunately, we don't have any info.
I don't have any updates on Terra. No, I do. I played a lot of Terra. I'm always like, man, guys, Terra, Argo, you know, like I like all these like niche guardians from Smite 1. But I like, obviously we're going to try and prioritize characters that tend to be a little bit more popular and fill out needed like holes in the roster composition. And you know, I don't know when Terra falls into that. I'm not sure if she's on the calendar for this year or not. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but like, I would just say like, generally that's kind of guiding what we're doing right now is like, is a character like popular? Are we getting a lot of requests for them? And, do they provide a unique gameplay niche that is not otherwise served? Where did the name Firebrands come from? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Barkus and Zaneski, the Mats, and see where the inspiration came from for those.
Is there any interest in having community voting for classic skins to be ported over? We've talked about this some in the past, and we like doing community voting on stuff, but the problem is that there's quite a delay from when people vote on stuff to when they actually see the thing they voted for show up in game because of just how long it takes to work on stuff. So frequently by the time that the thing they voted for actually happens, people are tired of it. Yeah. You know, they aren't interested anymore. We've seen this kind of routinely through Smite's history. So we may at some point do another vote for some classic skins. Yep. I think it's something we could theoretically do. I'll say that we also face a lot more constraints around doing classic skins than maybe you realize. Like gods have different, like some skins use different rigs than other skins, and maybe the Smite 2 god doesn't have that rig. And like there have been a couple of fan favorites that we wanted to do that we were just like, that would be a tremendous amount of work to do. And it's not that we don't want to, it's not that we're being lazy. It's just with classic skins in particular, we try and move quickly. And if we take the time to do a skin that takes a lot more work, then that means we're doing fewer. Yeah. And sometimes we do make that decision. Like Thanatos was a skin that took more work to do. Like it was a difficult skin. The two EDM skins we just did, Heaven's Rave Zeus and Base Cannon Neath, were more work because we needed to have the VXG to support the music stuff. So we are willing to take that sometimes, but it's just like, it's not always that we can say, you know, oh, let's bring over this one skin because it might have a lot of extra stuff tied to it. If Bunny Bliss knew WoW was in the supporter store for $50, I would have bought it. Instead, you gave it for free. There is another version of that skin that is
Bad Bunny
in
the Easter chest.
In the Easter chest. So if you want a second version, you can get that in the Easter chest. I'm not going to go super deep on this, but is Scylla staying the same, or is the team going to give her the Cupid treatment? The Cupid treatment was actually to try and bring Cupid's appearance in line with like Scylla and Charybdis and like our other more childlike characters. Cupid looked like weird big head alien baby, right? Like he did not fit with the rest of Smite's at the aesthetics. And like, from what I remember, I wasn't on Smite 1 when he was added. I like just didn't work in high res at the time. But I want to say that like they did the model for him in like 24 hours or something, because somebody was like, oh shit, it's Valentine's Day, we should do Cupid. Yep. And they just like threw him into the game as quickly as they could, basically. So he was always just kind of like generally considered by us to be one of the worst models in the game and not aesthetically in the same universe as anything else. So I don't expect that Scylla would have the similar kind of changes, since the point was to make Cupid look more like Scylla and Charybdis and fit. Yeah, Jinwei is a little bit of an older, it's kind of like a, she is still a child, but she's more like a teen, I guess. So it's a slightly different aesthetic, but I think she still fits in the world where Cupid did not. New Cupid model made him one of my favorite gods. Good. I'm glad that worked. Explains why Cupid was so cursed. Yes, it does. I'm
an Xbox player, and under the God Builder, I cannot click on Create a Build. I tried restarting the game, and it won't let me click on Create a Build. I love the God Builder and cannot wait to use it.
I have a note here that some people have said that Create a Build or Add Entry is hard to get to from console.
Okay, cool.
So I was going to take a look at that after this and see if we can make that better. Will we ever go back to weekly God releases? Never say never, but right now we feel like there's other stuff that's very important for us to be working on, right? Things like this big item balance shift that we're doing and the time that we're spending on things like that, we could not be doing if we are also trying to ship 2 gods a week, right? Or a god every week, 2 gods a patch. It is a tremendous amount of work that sometimes it is the right thing for the game to put your resources into that. Other times you can't make that decision, right? Like, I think that we did the right thing before we went to open beta when we doubled down on gods, and we were like, the most important thing for the game right now is to get a lot of gods into the game. And I think that, sure, it would be nice to be able to keep going at a pace of a god every week, even now. But given the size of the team and the things that we feel like the game needs, it's, is the game going to be made drastically better by adding another god, or is it going to be made drastically better by improving the way you build in every game that you ever play and improving the flow of matches, which hopefully people are enjoying the flow of matches right now, because I think it's going pretty well today. We think it's a step in the right direction, at least. But OB9 will be another big shift from the sounds of things so far.
On the opposite side, would there ever be a time where we put gods on pause to fully work on mechanics and items and polish?
Again, I would say like maybe, but we feel like there needs to be some steady flow of new content, and there's a big risk. We've seen a lot of times games are like, we're just going to go dark and work on making the game better for a while, and we'll come back in like a month or 2 weeks or 3, whatever the time period is. And whenever they come back, that like, no matter how much progress they made, people are like, well, it wasn't worth not having this stuff for a while, right? I think you heard a lot of that with, and this is not me throwing them under the bus, because I think it's a very good game, but like Overwatch 2, right? Like Overwatch stopped putting out new heroes. So heroes in Overwatch stopped putting out new heroes for a very long time because they were working on Overwatch 2. And once they got Overwatch 2, people were like, but I wanted all these heroes that we didn't get, right? And I think that you hear that in a lot of games, right? Paladins slow down on champions to focus more on some like quality stuff for a while, and people were like, well, the quality stuff's great, but I want more heroes, right? So I think it's like you gotta kind of do it both. You just gotta find the right balance to where you can keep gods going at a good enough pace and also focus on the other things that you need to do. So are you planning to allow us to purchase worshiper boosters at some point? We are talking about that. I don't know exactly when, but that is something that we have discussed. Because it's one of those things that's like, why not? If you want to give us money to buy, same as we had in Smite 1, account boosters, right? That are they boost your account XP. they would boost your Wandering Market coin gain in some way because it's tied to that. They would boost your Worshiper progress. Sure. You can give us some money to do that once we do the work to implement it.
How do we test on console? Do we have special permission to put an unfinished version on console to test, or is it just push it live and fix it from feedback?
So we have there are special versions of the consoles that are called dev kits, which you can only get from Sony or Microsoft if you have a development agreement with them. So we those are pretty well locked down. Like they'll only work on certain like IP ranges and like you have to be very like they keep a close eye on those things. And we can and do play test on the dev kits before we release it. But then yes, we also do just once things go live, sometimes we see things that we didn't notice, right? Like this not being able to undo purchases thing, right? Was literally like whoever plays on console in the playtest doesn't undo purchases ever. They were just like, oh, I just go to the item and sell it. I've never pushed the undo button in my life, right? And it's one of those things where it's like different people playing in different ways will notice different things a lot of the times. So that was one that was just like, it was an easy miss and we will fix it in live. But we do look at things on the consoles internally on dev kits. Let's see. I feel like there was a good question here that I was going to pick, but then I lost it.
Yeah, I kind of cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to find where it was, and I might just not be able to find it now, which makes me sad, but it's okay.
In Smite 1, you were able to click on an allied and enemy gods in the lobby to view their abilities. I used this to learn kits as a new player. Any chance of that returning in some way?
So you can click on gods in the scoreboard to view their abilities. So if you open up the tab screen or the select screen, whatever it's called on controllers now, you can click on a god's name or hover. I feel it's click or hover, and you can see what their abilities are. But you cannot do it from the match lobby. We felt like it was better to put it in game because usually it's like, I died to something. What the hell did this person just do to me? And you want to like click and read more there. So we did move it, but I think that it's still a good thing to be there. Coming in late. What was discussed today? Mostly just Q&A. Yeah. It was just, easy day.
Some few known issues. Towards the top of the show. Open beta 8. Just answering questions, getting feedback on the new patch, and just kind of vibing.
Patch Day Monday is always a lighter show. Yeah. So we'll have more interesting things to talk about later this week, I'm sure.
Seen a lot of questions about tier 5s for Smite 2. Any chance of a new tier 5 or returning tier 5 for Smite 1?
I would put new tier 5s in kind of the same category as like crossovers right now for the game, where it's like, is it worth investing the amount of effort that goes into those when there's a lot of other things that we need to do in the short term? This is not a... it's not saying that they'll never come back, right? We hope and intend to do them again in the future, but it's just like doing a tier 5 is like arguably more work than a god in some ways. And it's just like, would you rather have more gods or a tier 5 right now? And I think that where the game is, we would rather have more gods. But at some point we will, I'm sure cycle back around to them. And then in terms of like ones from Smite 1, we've talked about maybe picking like forms of tier 5s that we could bring over as skins, but without like the full, all of the tier 5 stuff that goes with it. But because again, it's like, it's as much work as a god, arguably more work in some cases. And to put that time into like, would you rather that we brought over Cuckoo tier 5 or we brought over a new god? It's like, I think most people would rather that we brought over a new god. So it's just, the kind of prioritization that we have to deal with consistently here.
Yep. Cool. Well, we are at 2 o'clock,
Oh.
so time for one more question. And I got to get my OB8 game in today. I haven't had a chance to play today.
I have also not played. I was checking some bugs this morning, but I have not actually gotten to play. So, let's see. Gotta pick a good question.
Yes.
For the last question. Always challenging.
Let's see here. Will we get the ability to add custom rules to custom games to make it better to host games like tournaments, allowing us to ban items, custom starting gold, level, etc., kind of like Match of the Day in Smite, but community made? I think this was something that was on the crew's list for custom game modes.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a slightly future us problem, but it is on the list. It's known that there's a lot more that we would like to be able to do with custom games. It's just most of what you're talking about is it touches multiple teams. So we need to have like the UI to be able to support it. We need to have the back end to be able to take these things as arguments for starting a new match to understand what kind of match the server should be running. And we need to have gameplay like and level design. So I guess it's like 4 departments already I'm up to. Need to make the changes to where it reflects those decisions in the map itself. So that's one of those things that seems like it would be an easy win, but it touches a lot of different departments and ends up taking a long time. So should we focus on that, or should we spend those teams' time focusing on other things that we hope can lead to, success? So it's like none of these things are bad ideas. It's always just about like how we prioritize them to do the things we think that.
What's the stack rank look like?
Yeah. What's the most valuable thing right now? I love that I'm a well-known Sylvanas enjoyer. Sorry, chat sometimes just makes me laugh. I do.
Your lore is deep,
yes,
man.
I do. In my, I think I said this maybe before, but in my interview to work at Hi-Rez, Scott Zier interviewed me, and I think because I said that like I was a Smite player, they were like harder on me.
Yeah.
They were like, they're like, are you really a Smite player?
Right,
or are you just pretending? And he asked me what my favorite god was, and I said my favorite god was Sylvanas, and he was like, Sylvanas? Why? And I, explained to him like I like how you can chain the abilities together in different ways, and you can blink in and then grab and then root, or you can root to set up your grab if you need to, or you can freehand your grab and then you can like there's a lot of like creativity in how you play them. I feel like, it was he was like, yeah, okay, Sylvanas enjoyer. It was amusing. All right, I do have to pick an actual question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Let's see. I have to go on at least one random tangent
Right.
in
You're
a
fine.
Titan talk, and I think this is like my third. Let's see.
So you're saying Sylvanas players get hired? Yeah.
It worked for me. I don't know. Let's see. I'm scrolling back up. I'm looking for something good. I'm just going to take this one so I don't waste a ton of time looking for a better question. This is a fine question. Will we be able to see God stats in the tab screen during match soon? If I'm building the new kins, I'd like to know how much HP the enemies have.
That's fair.
I think that's a fair argument. It is on our to-do list for future us, but it just hasn't hit the top of the priority list yet. I will say one thing that should be easier in Smite 2 to tell how much HP a opponent has than in Smite 1 is the way that our like the health bar that appears over your head looks. It has more segments in it now that makes it easier to read like chunks of 1,000. So like a longer line is like for 1,000 mark, and then the shorter lines are I think they're hundreds, maybe the 200s. Yeah. So you should be able to get a vibe of how much hit points somebody has by looking at them. I understand that you would need to actually look at them. You couldn't tell from across the map. But if you look at, you can look at their items and be like, okay, well, this person, once you know the items, you could tell what they have. Right. But I do agree that like that's something that is not just it's a nice to have thing that we will need to prioritize at some point. Just hasn't hit the top of the priority list yet. So, yeah, lots of good questions today.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody's
everyone
time
for hanging out.
Oh, Alani.
Cherry twist.
Cherry twist for both of us. Yeah.
It's good stuff. Great way to start off the week.
Yeah.
As is hanging out with us on Titan Talk. Appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. Thanks so much for all the great questions, all the great feedback and bug reports today as well. We're going to head back and play some Smite 2, get a couple of games in on OB8.
First, I'm going to type up all these.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? We're going to get the notes over to the team. Hope everyone is enjoying OB8. Again, leave us all your feedback, bug reports on all the good stuff that was in the update this morning. Kali, all the item changes, few new skins, God Builder, all that good stuff. We will be back here on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Titan Talk. But until then, we will see you all on the battleground. Peace.